Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Sunday, October 26, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Going to make sure you're in a comfortable position, no outside distraction, relaxed into your body, still as a statue, and focusing on your breath rising and falling. Your own self-realization is the greatest service you can render the world, Ramana Maharishi. How powerful would it be if we began our days being fully naked with ourselves and others, meaning as soon as we wake up, we see the masks and costumes that we typically wear in the world and rip them off completely. Being radically honest, we stop filtering what we want to say, shouldn't say, and are sacred, scared to speak. We give ourselves permission to be real with what is honestly inside us and speak every word that opens our heart and quiets our mind. We devote our day to allowing our deepest, most authentic expression to flow through. For example, let's take a recent moment, right, that you may have had, whatever it may be. And you find yourself putting on masks and just acting the roles that you normally do. And then you catch yourself and you realize that you've been doing this for so long, so you take off the mask. You're completely honest. Completely. Radical honesty. Building a deeper, more heartful connection. And this is what it might have sounded like to you. I feel this tension in the silence, a tender fear in my heart. The mind is telling me, you're still very angry at me and I'm not lovable. I'm aware that I may be acting distant from you to protect myself, and I don't want to do that. Don't care to do that. I just want to feel close and connected with you. I want to hear your truth. I'm scared to speak my truth and feel rejected. Now that's radical honesty. It's not about blaming, defending, excusing, or dramatizing. It's about revealing what's real in this moment, beneath the mask of spiritual composure or polite avoidance. It's choosing transparency over control. Each time we speak with radical honesty, another layer of falseness in our relationship falls away. The energy that was spent pretending and hiding becomes available for fully living. And our ability to be more and more honest matures. It changes how we relate to it, life itself. We are no longer dancing on eggshells around certain people's egos. Neither do we speak to convince or to control anything. We use our words to clear the air and to set our soul free. We all lie like hell. It wears us out. It is the major source of all human stress. Lying kills people. Brad Blanton. Radical honesty is not just about telling the truth to others. It's about finding a way to no longer continue lying or hiding ourselves. It is a surrender and softening of the ego's armor, giving us the willingness to be seen and possibly judged. In our naked vulnerability, without exerting any defense, we realize all judgments thrown at us say more about the being who's doing the judging than ourselves. When we meet the world with our deepest honesty, we stop protecting our ego image. We drop all holding on to who we think we are. And the moment we do this, something very miraculous happens. Our fullest, most sacred healing presence naturally begins to pour through. We radiate love instead of fear. And our most genuine, authentic smile effortlessly comes through. We feel compassion effortlessly for the other as real love finds its way to naturally move through us. We become lived by the goodness of life instead of being the ego micromanager of our little version of this universe. And as we speak from that open, soft, vulnerable space, we are connecting with our soul heart. Every word we utter carries this awesome, powerful presence. Our messages originate from the most liberating truth that causes our heart to blossom. They instantly open the body and bring peace to the demanding ego. Our words are naturally soft, sweet, and have a warm, cozy feeling to them. They emanate a more expansive version of reality than can be felt by everyone in the room. Truth will set you free, but first it will make you miserable. James A. Garfield. It's normal in the beginning to feel very afraid of being naked, unguarded, and speaking our radical truth with everyone. The ego does not want to share things or to shake things up, to awaken anyone who may be on their edge, sleepwalking through life, or ready to jump into their grave. But sooner or later, doesn't the truth always find its way to reach us, no matter how much we hide from it? By practicing radical honesty with others, the distance between our inner world and our outer expression begins to collapse. We see our speech not as a weapon or a tool, but as a way to liberate our soul. We fall into a deep sensation of trust that knows everyone in the entire universe is guided by an all-loving force we cannot see with our eyes. We honor how every being is destined for its highest, most evolved possibility and moving closer to freedom each day as best it can. When radical truth becomes our soul language, compassion becomes our natural tone. Truth without compassion can prick people's wounds, and compassion without truth can cause deception. We need both to live in perfect balance. As the road to enlightenment is narrow and can often feel like traversing along a thin bridge between fire and water, the life burns away illusion. The water cools the rampant ego. And together, they make us calm, centered, and whole. We can no longer afford to use honesty as an excuse to be cruel. The point is not to be right, but to be real and kind. The deeper truth is not here to separate us, but to reveal the unity that is beneath our egoic differences. When we learn to speak from that space, honesty heals rather than harms. There is a moment in every deep, personal, intimate conversation when we reach this edge of what is honest for us and what is the continued story that keeps us safe and tucked away in a past program. There is this quiet pause we reach when we can choose to say what is real. In that moment, the ego will urge you to pull back, but the heart knows, it knows that truth, unspoken, will create more distance in your heart, connection. And more distance turns into a deeper disconnection. Every time we cross the edge, every time we speak what is alive, our intimacy has the nutrients to grow deeper. To be fully seen by somebody, then, and be loved anyhow. This is a human offering that can border on miraculous. Elizabeth Gilbert. This most deeply we learn that in relationships, we uphold our lofty perception of ourselves. And we want the other to hear only see a wise, calm, evolved being who never made any mistakes. And many of us believe that would keep our love steady. But instead, we begin to realize over much time that this only constructs a false wall. Every deeper, honest truth that we withhold turns into a hard-coded ego that was protecting itself with this false silence. Sometimes we're guided by Spirit to do a medicine journey, right? And it may seem strange, but as soon as we share our vulnerability, it opens the floodgates to deeper intimacy. And the moment brings our souls closer to continue diving into a committed bond. And for the first time, there are no rules to play or ego games dancing, just two humans breathing in the same raw honesty. And we're always confronted and we're always shown. A lot of the times we don't pay any attention to it. It just flies by. It's easier to be the way we are rather than to shift out of it. Radical honesty will release you from all the prisons that you didn't know you were in. It frees you from burning through pride, humbling the ego, and returning you to your soul heart, which is the foundation of real peace. This kind of peace that needs no explanation. The kind that is truly accepting of others, just the way they are. We can live this way with everyone. Our partners, our children, our friends, even strangers. We can stop performing the being we think we want us to be and show up authentically as who we truly are. It's terrifying at first, but beneath the fear is true liberation and a deep connection with God. When the various conditionings of body and mind and identifications with name and form are shed, the self is realized, Ramana Maharishi. When I speak about sharing your truth, I'm not talking about sharing your greatest spiritual understandings of universal truth. Often this level of philosophical truth is far too heady, detached from the heart, too big to be comprehended or thoroughly understood by our puny intellect and ego. What I'm sharing with you is the path of the heart. Radical honesty is the quickest, most direct doorway to discover it. This path is not about ego improvement, but rather it goes deeper into ego removal. It's a gradual peeling away of everything that hides from expressing itself fully. And when nothing is hidden, nothing can divide us. in our most radical openness, there is no place the ego can hide anymore. No one left to defend. No one there to perform. When we live each moment in full transparency, we speak, listen, and move as pure freedom itself. This is only honesty, only love, and only what is here now, and living with pure devotion to our deepest present moment truth. In this space, enlightenment stops becoming a future destination and starts showing up in the now. We actually become this wonderful natural flow of life where freedom moves effortlessly through us, and how we experience others, witness ourselves, and allow our bodies to breathe. Imagine what would happen on this planet, or what would transpire in the event that everybody was radically honest. Wow, wouldn't that be different? Everyone, right? The leadership of the planet, every single one of us, period. So, what would happen? What would occur? That means with ourselves first. Not outward to begin with, but you have to be with yourself. Totally radically honest. Once you have achieved that, then to be radically honest with everyone else is a cinch. It takes a lot of courage to be radically honest with oneself. If you aren't with oneself, how are you going to be with anybody else? You're not. That's why I always say it's all about you, discovering you, all parts of you. The good, the bad, the ugly. And embracing every single one of them. You imagine that a government was totally honest with the people. What would happen there? Radically honest. At first it would seem, mind-blowing to many. At first we wouldn't believe it, would we? We're so used to believing the lie that, and then all of a sudden radical honesty comes flooding in. You see a lot of people say that the radical honesty was the lie, right? Exaggeration. You imagine if all people of planet Earth, then as the flood continued to saturate everyone, were compelled to be radically honest with themselves and with everything else outside of them. Now that's a good one because we know that we have been trained in this life to believe certain things, right? And it's interesting because a lot of people lie. In fact, it's a norm and for them to do that, and on top of it, they believe it. Okay? There really is anything wrong with that. They believe it. So they get in this habit year after year, throughout their entire lives, that it's easy. Think about this. It has become easy to lie. And very, very, very difficult to be radically honest. Isn't that wild? It's easy to lie. For any of us, it's easy. Everybody lies. Teeny, big, whatever. And so this is why we've been trained to lie, because it's easy to lie, and we're so used to it, and it seems to be a natural thing. Now, some of us have a conscience, so as we say. And isn't it amazing? Because the more that people prefabricate or lie or pontificate, they start to get a feeling of heaviness and guilt and all these things. But they've done it so long that they do it even more. This is why we don't know, as a people, what is truth and what is lie. What is true and what is false. You could watch and see and look at many things, right? Of course, your day. And it's really difficult to determine for yourself which one of these is truthful and which one of these is not truthful. How does that work? And when you're in conversation with someone, and then you say to them, I want you to be clearly honest, specifically honest about this is what I'm asking you, right? What do you think happens? They will lie because it's easier. Now imagine that you're in conversation with some people and you're kind of, one of the people, one of them in the group is, and you're evaluating and everything. You're listening and interacting. And it could be someone, a friend or someone you know. And you have all these perspectives and things that you feel about them. But you never tell them that. You're always saying other things. Oh, you're a wonderful person, you're this and that. But underneath you're going, oh, you're not a wonderful person because of this, and that. Or people that go into a restaurant, right? And we're covering little ones and middle ones and big ones and humongous ones. And so you go in a restaurant and you're served, and whatever it was that you ordered, and you begin to taste it, and you go, this is, you say to yourself, this is absolutely horrible. So if you're with someone, friend or loved one, you say, this is absolutely horrible. Oh, don't tell them that. Don't tell them that. How's your meal so far? Right? Oh, it's absolutely wonderful. Have you ever done that? Because you're afraid to hurt their feelings or to create any kind of disruption, right? Now, if I have something that is, when I look at it and I taste it, it's absolutely horrible, I'm going to go to the management and tell them respectfully, this is absolutely appalling. It's horrible. Can't eat it. And I've done that before. Now, most people would eat, they'd maybe pick it, eat a little bit, and then the wait staff would come by and then they'd say, how's your meal? How is everything? Or how is everything? And you go, oh, it's just wonderful. And it's the opposite. We do this because it's easier, right? It's easier to do that. Because then we say, oh, if I tell them the truth, that's going to hurt their feelings, and then they're going to get upset. I don't really care to do that. So I'll just tell them that it's great. And you would never order it again. See, things like that. Now, it may seem insignificant, but we do this on much larger scales in our lives. We will absolutely expound on it, and you're asked a direct thing, and you don't tell the truth because it's easier. Isn't that something? It should be easier for us to tell the truth than to not tell the truth. And it's flipped. It's absolutely, it's the opposite, but it shouldn't be the opposite. And so generation after generation on this planet, these are the habits that are passed down. You might be, as a child, you might be with a parent, right? And they had told you something earlier, could have been days ago, a year ago, whatever, that stuck with you about, being honest, right? And so you witness your mother or your father in a situation where you're watching and listening, and the thing that they told you for you to be honest at all times, right? They breach that by being dishonest in that situation, and you pick up on that. I wonder why they're doing that. They must be doing that because that's what you're supposed to do. So as a kid, you start to do that. You copy what they do. This is what we do. We're copycats. As children, we're copycats. So we repeat what we witness. That's exactly what we do. We copy, and then eventually it becomes part of our lives. So this is our character, personality. So what's happened through the ages is that we have adjusted ourselves to, and it's easier and much less disruptive to begin with, to not tell the truth. This is why we get so much stuff, and we want the truth, and we want to know what's going on this planet, or in our own country, in our own backyard. Just give me the truth. Tell me the truth. Tell me what's really happening here, right? And so one might say, okay, all right, here's the true scoop. And even when they say that, they're not telling the truth. But that will maybe convince you, and then, that'll be it. You'll accept it. Accept the lie as the truth. Can you say to yourself that you are radically honest with yourself? I don't mean degrading or judgmental or hard on yourself or disrespectful of yourself. Are you radically honest with yourself? Because if you aren't radically honest with yourself, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be radically honest with anybody else. And but it opens up many things to be radically honest for us. We don't realize that until we start the step process to do it. And what is the step process? Well, every time you feel the urge to be dishonest about something, turn it around and say, you know what? I'm going to be honest about this. Now, some people say that in conversation. And they will say, I'm going to be totally honest about this. You can feel the conviction. You can feel the genuineness there. Some people will say that and you don't really take it genuinely. But other people will say it and they will deliver it with compassion and passion. And then and with other people, you just know that what they're saying is truthful. You don't question it, you don't attack it, but the reflection, when people will challenge you that you're being dishonest, the reflection is them. Period. That's the reflection. When you judge others, you are literally judging yourself. Period. All these things are instrumental in our evolution and spiritual growth. All of them. Because untruths and dishonesty stem from where? Ego, mind. Do they stem from heart, mind? No, it doesn't exist there. See, you're speaking with and as the God you are within the body in heart-mindedness. Now, sometimes you'll say to somebody, you know what, I really appreciate you being honest. Have you ever done that? Feels good. Someone is honest with you. And they tell you the truth. And they don't slam your character. They don't slam your personality or anything. They're respectful. And they say, be perfectly honest with you, blah, 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 blah. Rather than lying and being dishonest with themselves and the others outside of them, where they'll say something and it's not genuine and it's not sincere. But it's easy. Okay? You ever notice that through the time, just if you take a look in our country, that we used to be very interactive, neighbors, right? Even strangers. We'd interact. That's how we made friends. We would interact with complete strangers and start carrying conversation and stuff. Next thing you know, you would interact with each other more and eventually develop a friendship. When was the last time that you can radically, honestly say to yourself that you have made a new friend? When was the last time? That you actually stepped out of your comfort zone and started communicating with complete strangers, and then you started a friendship. This is the only way we can do it. Communication, right? But what happens when people are bound up and they feel guilty and they feel suppressed because they've been so dishonest for so very long about many things? And there's certain degrees, right, levels. But you always ask yourself, am I radically honest with myself on all fronts? In the quiet time of this meditation. You're asking the God that you are a question, or the universe, and you want to know. And one might say, well, shouldn't you know that already? No, not necessarily. You never give it the time of day. So you communicate with yourself, and you go deep within, and you identify the fact I'm not going to be dishonest, even though you know that's a challenge for yourself. I've had conversations with people where I say, it'd be nice if you could just be straight up. Straight up. No trying to impress, no trying to manipulate or stroke your ego, whatever. It'd be just really great if you could be totally honest. And when I've done that with people, because first you do it with yourself, then you do it with other people. And a lot of people they freeze, or they get real nervous or agitated or defensive because they take it, they twist it to protect themselves, and they make it sound like that. What are you talking about? Are you saying that I'm not honest? That I'm lying? Have you ever had that happen? They have the ego mind goes into protection mode. Justification. Defending oneself. But if you're completely honest, what's there to defend? Nothing. The only time you defend something is when you're not honest. Okay? Because you don't care to be found out, right? Oh, then, you'll be judged and cut down. Can't have that. And all of us, for the most part, since childhood, have lied. I love the people that will say that, I've never lied a day in my life. Okay? And then, you say, oh, well, I'm not going to hurt their feelings. You say, wow, that's really wild. You're the first being I've ever met to make that statement that you'd never lie. You've never lied a day in your life. You can have an ice cream cone and you can be tasting it, and someone says, "Isn't that good?" You go, "Oh yeah, it's really good." And inside you're saying, I don't like this. Now, if you had the same thing happen and you were totally radically honest, they say, no, I don't like this vanilla cone. I'm going to get something else. You know? Or I don't like this tutti frutti rocky road or whatever. I don't like it. This is not my thing. But you feel good about it. See? You're not hiding anything. You're totally, radically honest. These are some of the steps through heart-mindedness that we choose on our own to embrace. It's part of our maturing into highly advanced spiritual beings. This is part of the steps of it. And it's up to us, right? It's up to you to determine whenever that's going to be. You might decide one morning, get up in the morning, say, you know what, or even get out before you get out of bed, I'm going to be totally honest today with myself and with anyone else. You try it, and you're going to dip your toes in the water and see how it feels. You start out real small, little teeny things. Right? Normally, they'd be different. They're a little twisted, different direction. Little teeny, people call, it's just a white lie. And as you well know, little things end up becoming big things because they're never checked. So you start out with white lies, then you go to bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And on top of it, it helps you evolve more into heart-mind where you aren't concerned at all about what other people say or think. Period. That's their prerogative. They say whatever they want to say. Right? The only time people will defend themselves is they believe they're in ego mind. Then it's radically, defending oneself. You remember I've used the analogy. If all of us were on a sunny day walking around and we were all trying to protect our shadows, wouldn't that be a sight? That's what we do with our egos. We try to protect them. This is why we get defensive. This is why we get, sometimes very demonstrative and very confronting. When someone says something to you and you carry it for a long period of time, rather than saying, okay, well, that's our prerogative. It isn't about me, it's about them. When someone judges you, see, it's about them. It isn't about you. They're actually judging themselves. And what we have is we have these signals from the universe, these communications, all the time. And once we tap into those, we're constantly shown things. All the time, reminding us, all the time. Not just intermittent, but all the time. And you'll see the communication. It's not like, hi, how you doing? From the universe. It comes in a series of numbers. It'll come in a series of events. It just happens. And every now and then the universe will poke you and test you. To see what your commitment, dedication, all these things are in this life. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. And an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, relaxed into your body. Focus on your breath, rising, falling. Deep inside your being is an all-powerful awareness that is very awake, present, and aligned with the isness. For today, sink into and surrender to that which is always present, always listening, always watching, and always aware. It is an experiencing. Allow your awareness to guide you through whatever experiences you have in your body and mind. Trust that it is all you will ever need. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, the following morning. We'll return here Monday, October 27, 2025, after 3:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, humble with yourself at all times, being the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's going on within you or outside of you. Open your heart, allow the magic to flow in.